There is a certain inevitability to mobility training as you age. Maybe you call it yoga. Maybe you choose to call it sports stretching. Either way, one day you're throwing weights around like a boss, and the next, making old man noises every time you bend down to tie your shoes. Well, enter Ddp Yoga, the brainchild of Diamond Dallas Page, a man who swapped steel chairs for yoga mats and somehow made the transition work. DDP is not what you might consider a stereotypical yoga guru. He doesn't look like he meditates in a Himalayan cave or drinks tea made from the tears of enlightened monks. Rather, he's the dude who will help you fix your turbo diesel, then teaches you to touch your toes without snapping a hamstring. So grab your mat and get ready for a different kind of yoga and more wrestling references and clips than you can possibly handle. We start with breathing, as it is the shortest entry into our new adventure with a runtime of only 3 minutes. And as one who appreciates oxygen, I see the value here. DDP reminds us that breathing is vital, and fun fact, in every other thing you do in life. I'd love to say I've mastered it, but apparently I've been breathing wrong for decades. This one is shot in what looks like his living room, a production choice that screams, "This cost nothing, so now I have some extra cash for those SmackDown tickets." This sure isn't a flashy 3 minutes, but I guess it does the job. And hey, if 3 minutes of breathing exhausts you, you got bigger problems than flexibility. Wake Up is filmed in DDP's bedroom.
How you doing?
But it's not like that. This is essentially bed stretching for adults who still wake up feeling like they fell down a flight of stairs. As someone whose body likes to remind him that he's not 25 anymore, or 35, or even 50, I can confirm a morning stretch before you start the day is the difference between ready to go and ready to go down like Flair. Diamond Dozen is the training wheels video. The baker's dozen of moves you'll repeat across the whole program. The set looks professional, which is a big relief after the first two shot-at-home numbers. DDP's explanations are clear, non-preachy, and he makes sure you actually understand form instead of just hoping you figure it out mid-lunge. Energy is your first real workout with a 22-minute runtime, and surprise, the set looks suspiciously like hip-hop abs. And a quick check of the credits confirms it. Mason Bendewald, the same guy who gave us P90X, is running the cameras. And it's a small world. This is a gentle entry point, not gentle as in knit sweater and sip chamomile. It's gentle as in you won't immediately curse your life choices. DDP is great at pacing here. He's not flipping out Cirque du Soleil moves, and he's quick to show modifications so you don't have to blow out a hip. 12 minutes with a red hot core sounds like a questionable menu item at Taco Bell, but it's actually ab-focused with a balanced twist. Moves like seated bat into jackknife have you balancing on your backside while holding your feet up. It's one of those moves that seems easy until you realize gravity is a thing. As a standalone, it's too short, but tacked on to another workout, it's a spicy little bonus round that will have your abs screaming. Glutes and quads, front and center, below the belt is the workout where DDP starts throwing out his Hulk it out moments. Now, if you were a latchkey kid in the 80s, this will either make you grin nostalgically or cringe so hard you sprain something. It's effective, though. You'll feel the burn in the thighs, the stretch in the hips, and the deep, lingering regret of skipping leg day for the past 12 years. The tempo kicks up with Fat Burner, the sweat comes faster, and the push-ups multiply like gremlins after midnight. But let's be honest, if you played Spot the Difference between Below the Belt and Fat Burner, you'd lose. The moves are familiar, but the faster pace means your heart rate stays up, making it less about deep calm. All balance, no sitting. Stand up is where you discover how weak your ankles really are. 30 minutes of single leg work and posture holds, and because you're never on the floor, it's sneaky cardio. It's basically a don't you dare relax session, which is fine if you like your workouts with a hint of a threat. As the name suggests, Strength Builder digs a little deeper into shoulders, back, knees, and hips. The stretches go longer, the holds are tougher. This one I found myself enjoying more than I expected. It feels more purposeful, less filler. It's the difference between a throwaway wrestling match and the one that actually has a storyline like Macho Man and Steamboat. And nobody younger than 45 is going to understand that. Diamond Cutter is the main event. 50 minutes. Everything you've done before is here, plus longer holds to really crank up the muscle engagement. It's the Iron Man match of the set. Endurance, strength, and the mental fortitude to keep going when you're sweating so much you're sliding off your own mat. Best saved for days when you're feeling ambitious or masochistic. Mixtape is 10-minute chunks from other workouts spliced together. It's great if you want variety, but it's terrible if you're looking for a smooth flow. It's like somebody added Engelbert Humperdinck to your Metallica playlist mid-set. I mean, it's good, but it's a little jarring. As a parent of 4, Flow doesn't exist in my life anyway. But man, this one should have been left on the cutting room floor. The final verdict. Well, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the spandex-clad elephant. Is this authentic yoga? Well, of course not. Ddp Yoga wears the skin of yoga like Buffalo Bill. Some surface visuals are there, but it's really a completely different beast. And I am totally okay with that. In fact, that's why I like it. There's no chanting, no chakras, no incense, and no talk of emptying your mind, attempting to become one with the infinite. What you do get is a program that uses yoga-flavored movements as a framework for sports-orientated stretching, balance, and mobility work. It's yoga in the same sense that a cauliflower crust pizza is pizza. It's not going to win over the purists. But it'll physically do the same thing without summoning any minor deities or making you sit cross-legged in a trance for an hour. And frankly, for the average well-adjusted human who just wants to move better and hurt less, that's the only kind of yoga we really need. So here's where I plant my flag. Ddp Yoga isn't just good for a yoga program made by a wrestler. It's good, period. It's not perfect, and I'll get to that. But if you strip away the wrestling novelty, what you're left with is legitimately well-designed, accessible, and smartly executed fitness program. Well, ain't that a shocker? What makes it stand out? Well, for one, Ddp actually understands his audience. Most yoga programs act like you've already been in the living room of a vegan commune for 10 years and you just need a new spiritual awakening. They throw goofball terms at you, cue in some twinkle flute music and tell you to empty your mind, while you're one warrior pose away from collapsing like a wet tent. Well, that's not this. Page speaks in plain English. He explains exactly what you're doing, and he doesn't expect you to be able to fold yourself into a human pretzel before breakfast. This is a program that generally works whether you're a 20-year-old ex-athlete, a desk-bound 50-year-old, or a retired roadie who hasn't touched their toes since the Reagan administration. You don't have to be flexible to start, and that's the whole point. And seeing actual normal people in the cast, not just genetic lottery winners with 4% body fat, makes it way easier for me to believe you can do it too. And let's talk about production. Well, Ddp Yoga looks good. You got decent lighting, professional camera work, clear audio. Sure, a couple of the early segments are filmed in his house, but that's forgivable because they're short tutorials and not the main attraction. The real workouts are on a professional set directed by Mason Bendewald, the guy who helped make P90X, and that level of experience does show. Now, on to the repetition. I'd be lying if I said every single workout here is wildly different. In fact, if you did below the belt, fat burner, and stand-up back-to-back, you might wonder if you accidentally hit repeat. The variations exist, but they're very subtle, and that's not necessarily a deal breaker. In yoga, repetition is part of the learning curve. But if you crave constant variety, you might get a little sense of deja vu. That said, the progression here is acceptable. The shorter workouts build skill and stamina, the longer ones test your endurance, and the Diamond Cutter session is basically a greatest hits album of pain and glory. And because it's low impact but still challenging, you can do it multiple times a week without feeling like you need a 3-day recovery nap. Where Ddp Yoga really wins is in its hybrid nature. It has elements of dynamic resistance and bodyweight training baked in. That's why you might hear people swear it built their strength up even without touching a dumbbell. Do I believe Ddp when he says he doesn't lift weights anymore? Sure, I believe you could get seriously fit using just this program, especially if your goal is core strength, mobility, and injury-proofing your body. But there are limits to gains in lean muscle mass. And that's the big takeaway here. This isn't yoga for hippies or yoga for hardcore athletes. It's sports stretching for people. People who've been injured, people who want to move better. People who'd rather do literally anything than listen to some airy-voiced instructor telling them to breathe into their heart space. It also has personality. I mean, does it ever have personality? Ddp has charisma, humor, and a knack for making you feel like you're in on the joke. You might roll your eyes at the occasional Hulk it out moment, but at least you're not falling asleep. So who's this for? Well, I guess anyone. If you've done yoga but hate the pompous, floaty vibe, this will be like a breath of fresh air. And if you're a seasoned fitness junkie who thinks yoga is too easy, give Diamond Cutter a shot and then tell me how your hamstrings are feeling. So my final analysis, Ddp Yoga earns its spot as one of the rare programs I'd actually recommend to friends without needing to add a bunch of disclaimers. It'll by no means replace all other forms of training, but it will make you more mobile and far less likely to pull a muscle when you sneeze. And if along the way you happen to enjoy the company of a gravel-voiced ex-wrestler telling you to breathe, well, that's just a bonus. So, until next time, stay strong.
Hello? Is this Hulk Hogan? Is your refrigerator running? Well, then you better let him out! Ah! Well, I think that's Prince Albert in a can.